The NBA Finals is finally over. I shouldn't say finally. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was great. I wouldn't have minded it going a couple more games. However, a team who never won it before has finally won it. A center who, while he does get the accolades, he doesn't necessarily get the fan appreciation other than his own team and some of the other fans out there. He's finally starting to get more and more of his due, and that is the Denver Nuggets. They won the NBA Finals. They are your NBA champions for the 2022-2023 season. As you see from this graphic here, Nikola Jokic, the center that I was referring to, who is getting MVP awards. He didn't get it this year, but he's getting, the accolades that he deserves. However, he still doesn't get the attention or the respect that I feel like he doesn't, that someone else in his shoes would normally get. Like, LeBron James or Steph Curry or these kind of guys get all the love. No one, no one is sitting here slighting those guys. No one is doubting their dominance. No one is knocking them at all, really. I mean, unless you're just a hater, just your purebred hater. That's fine, right? Those are out there. But Jokic, he's not known outside of like, real NBA fans. Like, anyone would know who LeBron James is. Anyone would know who Steph Curry is. You don't have to watch basketball, to know these guys. But here we are, someone like Jokic who is dominating the league just in a different style, right? He's not your Shaq. He's not your, this Dwight Howard type of center where he's dunking the ball all over the place and playing that style of game that you become kind of accustomed to when you think of a dominating center. He's doing it in a different way. And so therefore, when he doesn't do it in this, dominant way, but more of like a finesse type of way, more of like, let me just do what has to be done, the rebounds, the assists, play team basketball, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like this quiet, I still want to say dominance. It's still dominance in my eyes. So, he's out there dominating the game in his style of play, but that style of play isn't highly recognized on like, the highlight reels and the TikTok videos and in, conversations just generally around like, novice NBA fans, kind of like people who are just kind of like passing by type of thing. Like they just watched the finals. They don't really talk about guys like him because it's not flashy. It's not, this extravagant, display of ability. It doesn't look super athletic or, it doesn't just grab your eyes in that style. But here he is. He won a championship. Again, it's great to see, from a team standpoint, a lot of good players on this team. Jamal Murray balled out. And we'll talk about him in a second. A lot of great role players on this team. A lot of guys who this is the thing with the Nuggets this year. And it's something when we were going into the series, I said that, the Heat lacked the depth. They lacked the role players. They lacked the consistency of, a team like the Nuggets, which is why outside of Jokic, outside of Murray, who I think outclassed, just Jimmy Butler by himself, they also had all these players who knew their roles, right? And we're fine in it, consistent in it. They stuck in it. So in a case of like, say, if you talk about for a second, Aaron Gordon, for example, I'm an Orlando Magic fan. We drafted Aaron Gordon, and it was, a super exciting time. We liked the guy a lot. Obviously, we had high hopes. They drafted him super early. The thing with Aaron Gordon is he's never going to be like the guy. He's never going to be the number one guy that carries a team, puts them on their back. He can't be a Jokic. He just can't do it. Like it's not who he is. But then he comes to a team like the Nuggets and he fits right in where Jokic dominates, Murray dominates, and he falls in line. I'm going to be a top flight defender. I'm going to be out here dunking the ball every chance I get. I'm going to be out here running the floor. I'm going to be out here, imposing my will, defending the other team's best players. I'm going to do the dirty work, right? He did that and fit in this system and respected the authority above him, the leaders above him. He fell into place. He had lots of veterans on the team. If you've seen during the game, like Jeff Green and stuff, these guys giving him advice. He assumed a role that was fit for him, perfect for him, and dominated in it. These are the kind of players that they have. Michael Porter Jr., similar type of thing. Brown, similar type of thing. KCP, similar type of thing. These guys, found their role. The team built it around them and they dominated in that role. They didn't try to do more than they were, great at. They didn't try to, I'm good at this, but I'm going to try this too. Or I want to be a star in this or that. They stayed in their lane. They dominated in their lane. And that's what helped guys like Jokic and Murray do their thing and be the leaders that they could be the all-stars that they could be the top players on this team that they needed to be to win a championship. The Heat, on the other side, they had a bunch of injured players who were not there in the finals. They had Jimmy Butler carrying the team on his back. He was also hurt. But then you got other guys, they have role players, but they're inconsistent, right? They're like three-point type shooters. And if they don't get rolling, then the team falls behind and it's just hard to overcome because they don't have other guys doing the job like the Aaron Gordons can do and the Mike Porter Juniors can do. They just had Jimmy Butler, they had Bam, but outside of that, their role players just weren't picking it up. And to be fair, like they didn't depend on those guys necessarily all season. Like they had other guys who were hurt. Hero was hurt. Oladipo was hurt. So these other guys were trying to step up and make it work, and they just couldn't. They got themselves all the way there. They beat all the teams in front of them. They just couldn't get over that hump, to win the finals. And again, even as a fully healthy team, good luck beating this team. But with the Heat, I feel like they wouldn't have beat some of the teams in the West, period. Like, I don't think it had to be the Nuggets. I think if they would have played the Lakers, they would have lost. I just don't think they were as good as, some of these Western Conference teams. And I believe they'll have struggles to get back here next year unless they add some free agents, which is totally possible. It's already being floated around. The rumors are already out there. So they may as well, they might just be back here again next year. We'll see, how that plays out in terms of where the Heat end up next year. But what we can say for sure is that the Nuggets will likely, if all things considered go correctly, it's very possible that they are back in this spot again next year, as a top of the West. What I do want to also show you is Nikola Jokic. This was from NBA Twitter. They updated his resume. NBA champion, Finals MVP, 2 times MVP in the NBA, Western Conference Finals MVP, 5 times NBA All-Star, 5 times All NBA, All Rookie Team. Listen, whether he's playing the way the centers you believe should, or he's dominating the fashion you think centers should, he's dominating in his style of play. He's got all the, records and achievements to prove it. This guy's going to go down as one of the best in history. You're watching him appreciate the moment, just like we appreciate LeBron James, just like we appreciate, the Steph Currys and all these kind of guys. Like, he's doing his thing from his, style of play. It's actually kind of exciting to see because it gives you a different, way to look at things, right? Like, there's the super athletic guys, there's the guys who could jump out the gym, there's the guys who come from all different walks of life, and then you got this guy who's just different, right? Like, some people thought he looked fat or a little overweight, or he looked, doesn't is not out there, like I said, running the court as as such a highly athletic person would look. He's not slamming the ball everywhere, dunking it from everywhere, jumping from the free throw line. He's just doing his thing, and so those accolades I thought were impressive, and it was just cool to show because again, this is a guy who, again, he doesn't get all the flashy attention. It just is what it is. And another guy, maybe it's just the Nuggets in general, because in general they don't get the attention. Another guy I want to talk about is Jamal Murray for a second here. Jamal Murray is an elite company as the 4th NBA player to average 20 points and 10 assists in a final series. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Magic Johnson are the only other players to ever do this. You see here in the graphic, Jamal Murray is now being added to that as an NBA champion. So I thought this was cool because again, Jamal Murray, another guy who, he got hurt, he had injuries, wasn't sure, what his future looked like. He showed promise, before the injuries, but when it came down to whether or not, would he be the guy who would help carry this team to a championship? Would he be the player of their future as their point guard? Many people weren't sure because of the injuries. And matter of fact, it's not even fair to say people weren't sure. He wasn't sure to the point where, you know, after the championship, he said this, way to get you one, baby. He's talking to the owner, Stan Kroenke of the Nuggets. I appreciate you staying patient with me. Y'all could have gone a different route. I appreciate you staying with me. We got it done. This is what he was saying to to the
Where to get you one, baby. I know. Where to get you one. Thank you. I appreciate you staying patient with me. Oh, no. I appreciate you staying patient with me. Y'all could have done it, gone a different route. I appreciate you staying with me, man. We got it done. I love you. Love you. Where to get you one.
See, I thought that was awesome right there. I thought that was, cool to see from him. Again, a guy who got injured, had a long road to recovery. It was serious injuries. And you're like, man, will he fulfill that potential? Will he be one of those stories where a guy doesn't come back from it? Will the team move on? He had to deal with all that, right? And this is cool because the Nuggets are a team who has built this for a while, right? Jokic was drafted a while back, Murray a while back, and they kept plugging in pieces slowly but surely, get into this point where even the head coach, Mike Malone had been there forever in terms of like basketball. Like coaches sometimes get 3 years, you're gone, 2 years, you're gone. Like you don't usually allow this process to play out. And here you are, a team that's actually doing it the right way. And that's why this is rewarding. This is why it's fun to see, this team win a championship because they're doing it the right way in terms of like they're not just buying a bunch of superstars, throwing them all together, getting a bunch of lower level contract players around them, some veterans, and then just go out there and figure it out. This team actually drafted Jokic, drafted Murray, made a trade for Gordon, signed some veteran free agents, and really, made them reach their highest level of potential from the way they played and stuck with the head coach, kept the system growing for a long time. And when we speak about players, the veterans that they signed, and what they're going to do next, you got a guy like Bruce Brown here, who even Aaron Gordon, knows what's up. What's the future for him?
He's gonna get paid, is what he said. He's gonna get paid. Stop playing.
You hear that? He said he's going to get paid. Let me turn that up and play it back.
He's gonna get paid, is what he said. He's gonna get paid. Stop playing. I'm finna get a bag.
All right, so there's Aaron Gordon, letting people know that Bruce Brown is going to get a bag. He's correct. And there was actually a clip that I don't have here right now for this video's sake, but if you search for it on Twitter or something, you can find it where Bruce Brown actually said after the NBA Finals win that uh, basically when he was a free agent, he was between him and another player, and the player got the job over him for a certain team, not for the Nuggets. And that he asked the front office, why did you choose that player over me? And they said, hey, listen, if we would have signed you, we really wouldn't have even played you. So these are the kind of things we're talking about, right? Like he ends up going with the Nuggets. He plays at such a high level, finds his role. Sure, he's on a team with Jokic. That helps. Sure, he's on a team with Murray. That helps. Sure, he's in a great system that has been implemented and, perfected in Denver. It all helps. But that doesn't mean that, that's the only reason the success happened. It doesn't mean that if he goes to another team, he won't, have similar success. Other teams will now know how to use him, know how he fits. He has the confidence. He's done it before on an NBA champion team. So someone's going to throw the bag at him for sure. He also has a player option with the Nuggets. I want to say it's like a little under 7 million. So there's a chance he just stays with the Nuggets, and takes that contract. They have a lot to figure out, in Denver in terms of, contracts and what they're going to do and who they're going to keep. It's mostly veteran situations, but they'll be able to keep that core intact. And as long as you got Jokic and Murray, and of course, guys like Gordon, MPJ, you'll be able to figure it all out. You'll be able to make it work. So they're going to be a team, a legitimate threat every single year as these guys, because they're not even old really in terms of basketball. Like they're not guys who are like they're dwindling away or at the end of their leash. These guys got a while to go still. So I believe in the organization. I believe what they're doing. They're building it the right way. They'll be able to continue to replenish that. So that's a good thing for the East. It's all up in the air, right? Like the Heat could make it back. Especially like I said, we're hearing lots of rumors. Possibly they're interested in Kyrie, uh, Damian Lillard. Guys have expressed interest in potentially going to the Heat, or the Heat have expressed interest in them, trying to trade them or sign them as free agents now. We'll see how that plays out. Again, there's a bunch of interesting free agents going around. Miami's always a hot spot for that. So, we'll see how that plays out. There's also teams who are going to try to shake it up in the East a lot. There's teams where, they're either going to be trading for stars, signing stars. They got high draft capital. We'll see how it plays out. We'll talk about the NBA draft a little later. But I just wanted to wrap up this whole topic of the NBA Finals. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets for winning the NBA Finals, for doing things the right way, going through the full process of drafting players, growing players, keeping head coaches and a system intact where you formulate it all, you grow it all, and it all came, to fruition. So congratulations to Denver Nuggets and for your first championship. It's good for Nuggets fans. I'm happy for them. Again, the Heat were no slouch. There's no knock on them. Obviously, they got something to improve on and get back to the drawing board on, but there's no doubt they will, right? Like they've repeated this over and over. Another team that has stuck with a head coach for a long period of time. I think that's a strong sign here, right? Like two teams, both in the NBA Finals, have stuck with the head coach for multiples of years, like 5+ years, for both of these guys, even way past that, I believe, at this point for the Heat. So at this point, it's like that should be telling you something. I don't think that's a coincidence that both teams in the NBA Finals have had a coach for a long period of time and some homegrown talent, some free agents they pulled together, role players who have really just fit into these perfect niches on the team. I think that's an important way to look at this when building a team, rather than just going, hey, we need 2 or 3 top guys in the league, throw them all together, we'll figure out the rest. I'm not really into that recipe. That is it for me on the NBA Finals. I'm curious what you guys think. Will the Nuggets be back in the NBA Finals next year? That's the question of the day for this topic. Will the Nuggets be back in the finals next year? Drop it in the comments below. Let's further that discussion. And now on to topic number 2.